Hello, everyone. My name is Robert Dykes. I work at Sojo University down in Japan. Uh, I think this is my fifth or sixth co-TESOL. Usually I try to come up to see y'all in person, but this time I'm going to be doing it online. Today's presentation is We Can, but Should We? A Perspective on AI Trends. This is my first Pecha presentation. I've done 35 presentations. This is my 36th, but it's my first Pecha, so I've never done this 20 slides, 20 seconds. I wanted to try it, so let's see how we do. I've already gone a little too long on this slide. So, all right, let's move on. So here are my credentials. I got into AI around 2023, like a lot of people did when ChatGPT came out. I'm a senior editor on two books on AI and language teaching in our classrooms coming out. So I've read a lot of papers on that, did a lot of work with that. I've been the host or co-host of three forums about AI, and I have two more forums scheduled across Asia for AI. I'm also the Jout Call AI podcast co-host or interviewer. I've done two, three of those so far. Got a couple more scheduled. I'm involved in two AI research projects, and I bring this last point up. I've attended over 25 presentations on AI in the last 2 years. I only bring that up to show my perspective on what other teachers are doing around Japan and Asia, Korea, China, things like that. All right, so why this topic? I think it kind of goes without saying. AI is huge. It's big for students. They can use it to draft essays, summaries, practice conversations, learn vocabulary. Teachers can use it with grading, lesson planning, content creation. But the problem is AI is here, but it's been so fast, and the adoption has outpaced policy. Schools scrambled to put stuff together. A lot of it wasn't really researched or thought out, and AI is changing all the time. It's outpaced pedagogy. It's outpaced ethical reflections. A lot of people are just using it and not really thinking about it. So this presentation is to get you all to just think. All right, so let's first focus on the AI buzz in Asia. One thing I have seen is I know at least in Japan, we have had very rushed or no policy, but there's been a lot of experimentation. Um, that one of the good points though is we have seen AI in Asia with like a localized focus. It gives us a chance to create content for our students, not just a textbook off the shelf or something pre-made, that usually comes from the West. And there's a lot of grassroots innovation. So at my school, Sojo, we're working on a AI project. Waseda, I'm going to talk about that later, has a homegrown project. And then you have English Central, which is it's Japan focused, but they do most of their business in Korea and Asia and Japan. So a lot of this stuff is coming from inside Asia, which is great. It's not just copying the West. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is speech partner apps. These are great. Tutors and speech partners, they're not always there. They cost money. And so AI allows us to have great access and availability, right? And often either free or very low cost. I already mentioned English Central. They've got an AI bot, Mimi. Acquaint is a new one. I met one of the programmers for this. It's two brothers. One is an English teacher and one is an app developer, and they got together and made Acquaint, and it was one of the best apps I've seen so far. Cake, I don't know much about it, but I believe y'all use that up in Korea a lot. And of course, just ChatGPT. It takes a little more work, but out of the box, the newest model of ChatGPT is insanely good. Might not be good, say, to just hand to your students, um, but if they're comfortable using it and setting up their own instructions, and you're comfortable, helping them with that, just plain old ChatGPT is amazing. Alrighty. Another huge one. I'm really excited about this, but there's a big asterisk with this one. Writing assistance tools. They're becoming more common at an alarming rate. And this is very debatable. Some people think you shouldn't use AI at all, or, AI is coming, so let's just jump in. My worry about this is a little different. So I've noticed there's two types of AI writing assistant tools. They usually happen on the front end or the back end. So the front end would be like scaffolding. The back end would say feedback. I have an issue with students using it on the front end. I think that's a skill that they should be taught first. As us teachers and writers and researchers, we've been taught that. So I don't have a problem with us using it on the front end. For students, I do. But back end, like feedback, that takes a lot of time. And AI is really good about it. And they can save a tremendous amount of time. And AI is pretty sharp on back end writing feedback. So again, I mentioned at Sojo, we have an in-house writing assistant feedback tool. There's another one called AIAWE. That's at Waseda with John Gaid. And in Japan, he is one of the top AI researchers. And his program is pedagogically backed by TOEFL input. So I can't speak highly enough of John and his work. We're hoping to do that at Sojo. We're looking for funding because we need money to build the model in house. And of course, ChatGPT, but ChatGPT doesn't have the guardrailing and the prompting already built in, so you need to kind of build that from the ground up. So not great for students, but pretty good for teachers, I think, who already have pretty confident in their abilities. All right, so of course, this is an easy one. Filling gap materials used to create custom workshops, worksheets. It can address issues of localized content, right? That maybe off-the-shelf textbooks can't or lack in. It allows quick adaptation to specific classroom needs. I can take AI and change it for this classroom and this classroom and this classroom very quickly if I need something made or created. For example, this year I have a student who has eye issues, and I have been asked to create worksheets in say 18 font or make something larger. And if I do that by myself, it takes a lot of time. I can pop that into AI and say, hey, I have a reading disabled student. Can you make this larger? And it can save it seconds. I mean, do it in seconds. Save me minutes, if not hours. Oh, and this is a big one, very important. And I've only heard about this issue kind of recently, something called decolonialization. So most of our content, textbooks, things like that, they're made in the West. They come from the West, but English is a worldwide language, right? We have global Englishes. We have things like Singapore English. We have Spanish English, Korean English, Japanese English, and they are not wrong. They're not incorrect Englishes, but we see a type of colonialization happen in English teaching content. AI offers us the chance to change that and rectify that, but we need to act on it now that AI is early, and we need to keep it in mind. Um, so it requires good prompting. So first you need to understand where the issues exist to fix them. So we can't talk about that in 20 seconds. Another one is custom content creation. I use it to make pictures. I use it to make worksheet diagrams, things that I'm not good at, but it can do very quickly. So it can save time for things that used to take a lot more time to design, or maybe you aren't that good at. But you definitely have the risk of over reliance. So it's still, there have been studies that have shown people are losing intelligence because of reliance on AI. So we still need to keep our brain sharp. So don't use it too much. It also raises questions about authorship and creativity. This is a big thing, and I think this bar will change. We're going to argue about it for a while. If I'm prompting, some people argue if I'm prompting it, I'm authoring it, and the output I'm judging it or changing it. If it's good or bad or changing it, therefore I'm still the author. But not everybody sees it that way. All right, so we talked a little bit about the pros and cons, but from slide 10, we're pretty much just going to kind of focus on the concerns. Now, I'm not a doomer, but I do want to bring these things to attention. So as I said before, rapid adoption has outpaced a lot of critical thinking and understanding when it comes to AI. So the tools have sometimes been prioritized over ease or speed or even novelty without thinking about pedagogy. And I have I'm really worried about that. And So we have a lot of ethical issues as us teachers. Are the way we're using these tools ethical from the pedagogical sense or in our schools? Another huge problem I've witnessed is data privacy. At my school, if we have a quiz, if we have anything with a name on it, we have to, get these tests. We bundle them up and they take them to a shredder or they burn them. Um, you, that's just an example, but I've noticed people, teachers say, oh, the students just, go to ChatGPT, the free model, and enter it in. All that data is getting stored by OpenAI. So data, whatever model you're using, you need to check their data privacy rights. Where's this data going? And for our students, that's something we need to be cognizant of. So ChatGPT has an EDU model that you can pay for, and you can change the data privacy rights. By default, it doesn't store anything the students put in that. But I've met very few teachers that are even aware of this. So please, when you're using AI with your students, double check, triple check what the data privacy is of those programs. Now, bias is a huge one. I'm sure some of you have seen it. If you haven't, that's understandable because sometimes it can be very subtle. Now, for an easy example, if you type in "show me a doctor" right into Sora or another Mid Journey, 9 out of 10 pictures tend to be white men. All right, and this is very disturbing because especially in Asia, we're teaching a lot of Asian students. We're teaching a lot of non-white male students, but a lot of the data, even in text, is coming out with this Western Caucasian male perspective. And sometimes it's very subtle, but it's something that we need to be aware of. So it's because of the way these LLMs are trained on Western data. Most of Reddit, Wikipedia, all these huge training data sets. They come from the U.S. mostly, some from the U.K. and Canada, but the majority of the LLMs are trained on is from America. So that's gonna bias output from LLMs. And there's tons of ethical concerns that I just see a lot of people not cognizant of. Ownership of generated content. If you've generated a picture, um, some websites say you have the copyright material, and we didn't use copyrighted material to train it, so you're probably in okay. Other things, I don't. You need to look at their copyright. If you're using a logo or some kind of picture from them, the Ghibli controversy right now is that legal to use in your content. Plagiarism is a huge thing for teachers, researchers, and students, all that sort of thing. I have an issue with teachers using AI for grading. In certain contexts, if you use AI to grade a essay, is that ethical? Because if it gives it a B, why is it a B? If the student comes and asks you why did I get a B on an essay, you can't tell it, and the AI can't really explain why either. It might be able to give you some feedback, but that feedback might also change if you do the same thing twice. So I'm very cautious about using AI for grading. Feedback is one thing. To give a grade is a different issue. Um, Also, equity issues. Not all students have access to the same model. I pay $20 to get the pro model. My pro model is better than the 4 point what the four model. I use the 4.0 model. So that's just a basic example of an equity issue when it comes to AI. Pedagogical issues. Many tools designed for productivity are not pedagogical. And then, of course, students are going to become passive AI users rather, they're going to become, yeah, passive AI users rather than active learners. They're not going to be learning, they're just going to be using AI. I need to move a little quicker. I'm sorry about that. So, this is another scary one. AI has been found to rewrite history and facts. So, I'll give you an example. I had a teacher say that they tell the student to prompt AI to give them a story about K-pop and now write a report on this. That so they had AI write a historical, factual story, but hallucinations happen, and these get into your head, and you remember them. And so let me give you a perfect example of this. UNESCO did a study on the Holocaust, and they found that LLMs and AI were changing tiny bits subtly about AI, the Holocaust history. So using AI for historical facts or extensive reading, can be very dangerous. So I would only use it for fictional stuff to make up fictional stories that have, the facts don't matter, historical issues don't matter. But the thing is AI is here. It's here to stay. All right, I'm not a doomer. I use AI every single day. Lately, I've been using the 4.0 model, honestly, for a couple hours a day. I love it. But I'm more cautious when I use it with my students. I'm cautious when I use it for research. I really only use it for brainstorming, or I use it as kind of as a thesaurus. So I'm very cautious how and when I use AI. Um, so, as I said, I'm not a doomer. This is just a call for caution, and I want teachers to ask, just because we can use it, should we use it? What are the pedagogical backings here? Can we create a system that has pedagogical backings to it? Not every use is going to be pedagogical. Some use cases I think are probably wrong and will stay wrong. So it's just important to stop and think, is this okay? Are there any issues with this? So just take a second and breathe before we start shoving AI into every aspect of our teaching. So it's our responsibility to gatekeep how AI is used. The policymakers, I think, aren't doing a good job. A lot of them aren't even teachers. So it's kind of up to us to stop and ask, is this good? Is this okay? Should we do this? And we need to protect the students' data. That's up to us. And we need, if we want to keep our jobs, we need to make sure that AI is supporting learning and not just replacing it. We can't just hand the students an AI chat GPT. We still need one-to-one human interaction and teaching. So closing message: if you want to contact me, you pause it, the presentation. That's my email address: rdykes@m.sojo-u.ac.jp. My closing message: just think before you use AI. There's still a lot we have not talked about. Okay, thank you.